What is going on, Jet fans? I am Matt O'Leary, back with my reaction to day 2 of the NFL draft. The New York Jets had just one pick this year. No third round pick, just one pick. And there was a little bit of a discussion for whether the Jets would or would not trade back from pick 43. I thought 43 was absolutely a candidate for the New York Jets to move back with, but instead the Jets decide to stay put. And the board was breaking pretty good for the New York Jets. Going into today, I think a lot of people thought maybe offensive lineman, Keanu Benton, and there were a lot of offensive linemen on the board. Keanu Benton was still there, wide receivers were still on the board, and the New York Jets stayed put and took Joe Tippmann, offensive center, out of Wisconsin. A little bit of a surprise to some, and myself included, that they went with him over John Michael Schmitz. They met with John Michael Schmitz a ton, so he was the presumed favorite for the Jets, and he was some people's first center in the class. He was my first center. Tippmann was my third center, but I liked three guys between Tippmann, Whippler, and John Michael Schmitz, all guys who can go on day 2, in my opinion, which is where, all these guys ended up going. But the New York Jets get Tippmann, and I get why they wanted to go this route. He's big. He's 6'6", which is a little bit rare for a center. Usually we see them a little bit on the smaller side, but he has incredible athleticism. He could really move in space, which is a plus. We know how much Joe Douglas loves his athletes, dating back to early on in his tenure, drafting in 2020 to all the way now in 2023. 4 years later, he is still going with those athletes, and that's what Tippmann is. At his size, you wouldn't think that he'd be able to move as well as he does, but he does. He does just that. He is able to move in space, and he is a good scheme fit for me. He has a really high football IQ, which is obviously a plus. If you're going to play center, you need to be one of the smarter guys on the football field. Center is not an easy position. You're picking up, you're calling out blitzes, you're doing, assignments, all that stuff. It's very difficult. And he's a mauler too. So he likes to get after it, which I don't really, do you put Connor McGovern in that mauler category? I don't know if I do. He doesn't really play with much of an edge. Which is, I think, part of the reason why the New York Jets want to look for the long-term answer. And you know what? Like this, he might have a legitimate chance, I think, to start this year over McGovern, which is, crazy. He was paid pretty good money last year to be the Jets starter. They bring him back, the week of the NFL draft, and they give him backup money, like less than $2 million a year. And that's a guy who's an okay center. Is he a top 10 center in football? No. Is he a bottom 10 center in football? Also no. He's about middle of the pack. But they wanted that long-term solution, and that's exactly what they do. They go out and they get that guy. Here's some numbers for him over the last couple of years. In 2021, he allowed 2 hits, 2 hurries, no sacks. 2022, 2 hurries, 2 hits, and 1 sack. So in his 2 years as a starter, he has allowed just 1 sack. The Jets said that they really like his feet. He has above average height, weight, wingspan, arm length, hand size, and his 40. So remember I was telling you he's a good athlete, 98 percentile for a center. This guy can move. He can move in space, which is good. I think this is a fit, and I was much happier today than I was after the Will McDonald selection yesterday. That was a surprise, and while I'm understanding a little bit more, and I think that you have to see the entirety of the NFL draft class before you can really judge it, I really like this Tippmann selection. They finally address center with hopefully their long-term solution. I think he's the long-term solution, but sound off below. Let me know who you think, or what you think rather, about this draft pick by the New York Jets and Joe Douglas. Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new. I'll catch you next time.